Over 20 years ago, the pop-punk song 1985 by Bowling for Soup longed for a time when music still played on MTV. MTV Music Television has had a reputation for not playing music longer than it actually played music for, and that's been my entire life basically. MTV launched in 1981 with images of the moon landing, followed by an iconic first music video choice. The Buggles' Video Killed the Radio Star, both of which made a bold, if not pompous, statement about how big of a cultural impact MTV wanted to have, and it did. From its ever-changing logos, starting the VMAs, and covertly funding a music video for Michael Jackson's Thriller to secure exclusive broadcasting rights. For its first 10 years, MTV's entire brand centered around music. From the start, music videos were the bread and butter, being introduced by video jockeys, VJs, instead of DJs. Even its non-music video programming was music related.
Hey Billy, I keep forgetting, which one of the Three Stooges is your favorite? Ah yes, Mo Howard, my personal favorite too.
Music videos could make or break artists, and early on in MTV history, the best had a raw creative energy, as labels didn't want to put a lot of money into them. But very quickly, the corporate minds figured out that music videos were a great way to drive album sales, and they started feeling just as stale as the type of media MTV wanted to stand out against. By the 1990s, MTV went from a rock and roll channel to airing top 40 hits during the day, while largely relegating rock and roll, hip-hop, and heavy metal to their own programming blocks at night. Music videos were great for the channel until they weren't, and by 1991, MTV had turned the music off to step into the real world.
The Real World.
Thursday at 10 after 90210 on MTV.
The Real World is largely considered to be the first modern reality TV show, and its success further encouraged MTV to expand its horizons beyond music. But many of these endeavors would be iconic in their own right.
You got me, butthead, I got you.
Whoa. Yeah, this is Billiam, and MTV turning off the music is a bit of a complicated story, and we're gonna tell it in two parts. It's complicated because music didn't die on MTV just once, it died twice. Today, we're gonna talk about the first time, beginning in 1991, when the channel decided to move away from music. For better or for worse. I want my personal information off of data broker websites. Did you know that data brokers can collect all sorts of information about you? Your full name, your legal address, even information about your relatives. This leads to identity theft and phishing scams, which is why I've been using today's sponsor, Delete Me, which keeps my information off of these data broker websites. Delete Me has been a leading expert in personally identifiable information, PII removal, for over 15 years. And they remove your data using their own tech. They do not outsource this to other people, so your data stays safe. Also, Delete Me privacy advisors are real people and are available for custom requests and are there when you need it. Personally, I found Delete Me to be stress relieving. It's great to see Delete Me scrub my private information off of these data broker websites. It tells me how many too, with a detailed report every 2 months. In my last report, Delete Me found my information on 43 websites and took me off of 44 listings. You can get 20% off of Delete Me consumer plans by going to joindeleteme.com/Billiam. And of course, use code Billiam at checkout. That's joindeleteme.com/Billiam and code Billiam. Thank you to Delete Me for the sponsor. Now back to the video. In 1992, the most popular music videos on MTV were from Nirvana, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Boyz II Men. Whitney Houston's I Will Always Love You came out this year, and Wayne's World gave a bump to Queen's Bohemian Rhapsody. Reading and watching a lot of MTV retrospectives from around this time, the keyword that gets thrown out a lot is authenticity, which is exactly what they were hoping for when they were making The Real World. The impact of MTV's The Real World would not only change MTV forever, but television in general. The Real World created modern reality TV, at least that's according to critic Emily Nussbaum in her book Cue the Sun. First airing in 1992 in response to the Fox network's Beverly Hills 90210, MTV did not have the money to create its own youth-oriented soap opera unless it could do so without any actors and without any writers. an idea any wallet would love. The concept was proven when the 2-part pilot episode tested through the roof, but still, MTV execs were hesitant to greenlight the project, taking over 6 months after wrap, because it was a massive choice. If it succeeded, it would open up the floodgates and change MTV forever. Watching the first season of The Real World, there's something really tame about it. It feels unfamiliarly authentic in the world of reality TV.
What is that?
It's a beeper.
Do you sell drugs? Why do you have a beeper? I don't consider myself racist in any way. I don't even know how it ended up like that. I don't consider myself racist.
Julie from Alabama is the character who gets the most focus, as the entire cast is already set up in the New York City loft apartment in Soho by the time she arrives. They're going to be living together for a few months, and the entire cast of the first season is made up of artists who are trying to make it. Eric is a model, Kevin is a writer, Norman paints, Heather has just left a successful rap group and is going solo, Rebecca sings, Andre is in a band, and Julie wants to dance. Together, the cast would live in this loft, which is the first combination set and living space made for TV, now a staple of the genre that The Real World created. With hidden microphones and a live feed room for the crew to monitor everything from, it really was experimental. Nussbaum also points out the fish tank in the middle of the loft living space, which acts as a visual metaphor for the entire production.
At first I thought that they were gonna put us in like this little box and it was gonna be like a nightmare.
Throughout the season, the cast would pursue their dreams and, above all else, get to know each other a little better. Norman would talk openly about his sexuality. Kevin would insist on having difficult conversations about race in America as the country reacted to the brutal beating of Rodney King. They would support each other's creative endeavors, meet each other's families. It's insane how similar yet completely different the first modern reality show is from current modern reality TV. All these conflicts seem to have some kind of resolution by the end of the episode. There's a simplicity in it, but in that simplicity, by trying to present these people authentically, it does feel more complex, more like the real world.
I can't stand breathing cigarette smoke.
So you're talking to Becky and Andre?
Becky, because Andre sleeps until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Of its tone, MTV VJ Dave Holmes said, "Have you seen the first season of The Real World lately? It seems like a f***ing Ken Burns documentary from today's perspective." The show was heavily inspired by the 1970s documentary series An American Family, which took a true fly-on-the-wall approach, simply observing a family and making a TV show out of it. But behind the scenes of The Real World, the fate of reality television decisively defeated this approach. The Real World was MTV's answer to soap operas, and behind the scenes, the producers of The Real World were fighting for the soul of reality television. This was MTV's answer to teen soap operas. So one group fell into this soap opera-ist camp and the other into a camp of documentarians who wanted to see the experiment play out naturally. But the soap opera-ists, they wanted to, quote, throw pebbles into the pond, meaning that they would orchestrate little circumstances and just watch how things play out. A little real, but a little unnatural. The moment that would create an irreversible distrust between the cast and the crew is when a photography book was left in the living room featuring a nude photo of Eric. It made for good TV, but the cast knew someone from the crew must have put it there. The scene went so poorly, it was deleted from the final cut. Pushing the fourth wall went further, as during a trip to Jamaica, Rebecca started a relationship with Bill. We haven't talked about Bill yet because he was a director on the show, not a cast member. Bill was quickly fired for dating a member of the cast.
Unfortunately, he can't be with us anymore because, unfortunately, he was a little too into me.
But still, the show acknowledges this weird fourth wall it's created. A fourth wall that's not really there. The audience isn't supposed to see it, but the cast absolutely does. The first season of The Real World would end by peeling back the curtain as the cast breaks into the crew's monitoring station, a perfect opportunity to reflect on the seasons past, while ironically not knowing how much this show would affect television's future. When this show aired, it outperformed music videos on MTV 3-1, something which MTV tried to downplay because it didn't want people to know that music wasn't doing well on music television. But it was a no turning back point. It was clear to everyone MTV had changed forever. I love this quote from the book I Want My MTV. "There was a time when I'd walk down the street in New York City wearing an MTV staff jacket and people would yell, 'Wow, man, MTV is so cool!' But by the time we were airing The Real World, people would yell, 'MTV sucks!' And a lot of us started to think it did."
I ain't cleaning that up. Nobody gonna know we did it. Come on. Ain't nobody gonna know we did it.
The Real World lasted for 30 3 seasons. And during COVID, for the 20th anniversary of the show, they invited the original cast back to the original loft for a reunion. It's a very celebrated part of MTV's history, but obviously a very consequential one. The Real World came at exactly the right time to blow the doors open for reality TV, which was made possible by technological developments such as shooting on video and computer editing, which helped the editors shoot a lot of footage and have a system that could easily organize that footage in whatever order they wanted it to be in. To this day, reality show editing is some of the most creative in the entertainment industry. Of course, creative often means dishonest, but often they really are weaving together a story out of so many disassociated clips. And that dishonesty absolutely began with The Real World as well. By the second season, The Real World had lost its authenticity as cast members were now aware of what reality television looked like. They knew how to give their dialogue in clippable segments, and they would begin to think more about being a memorable character, which led AIDS activist Pedro Zamora to the 3rd season of the show, The Real World San Francisco.
MTV's Real World in San Francisco, premiering Thursday at 10.
As his health declined, Zamora saw the show as a good way to spread his message to a large audience while limiting his own travel. MTV would later make a movie about Zamora's life, as he's become an icon for using the season to promote gay acceptance and spread awareness of the AIDS crisis, as he struggled publicly with his health complications on the show.
I found out that my temperature was 104. I was terrified. I was really frightened for all the same reasons that Pedro was frightened.
And I'm probably just overreacting. And I'm probably just being paranoid. But what are you supposed to do when your friend's dying and there's nothing you can do about it?
After making such a strong impact on his season, he died of related medical complications shortly after. Pedro's death even received attention from the president, who said this:
Pedro became a member of all of our families. Now, no one in America can say they've never known someone who's living with AIDS.
His life and death was monumental in creating an emotional connection to this crisis for many Americans outside of the gay community. Yet this season also had another impact on the reality show genre, as David Puck Rainey became one of the most memorable characters on the show by unabashedly being an asshole, popularizing the archetype of a reality show villain.
It's kind of how I am, you know, I am the Puck.
If you want to be memorable, being horrible is a really easy way to do that.
If you step on me, I'm gonna rage. And most people can't handle me raging. Pedro just don't like me. There's nothing for me to do but not like him.
You don't give a shit about what I feel.
What can you do about your
you're
choice,
basically
Pedro?
saying
What can you do about
not
your
live
choice?
with you.
Well, you're moving out or I'm moving out then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Puck would antagonize Pedro so much, and generally, people said Puck's hygiene was pretty bad.
He's a pig. He smells.
He literally stinks.
He thinks opening the window will alleviate the funk, which is not true at all.
He would end up being one of the few cast members asked to leave the show mid-season.
Pedro, for all the harsh things you said, let it all go, bro. And the best to you, in your life here or elsewhere. I'll see you around.
He sucks ass, but unfortunately, viewers were addicted to the drama. The crazy thing is, in the same way a reality show will edit footage to make characters look worse, many of the cast members firmly believe that season 3 edited Puck to make him look much better. Of his behavior, one producer said, if Puck were a persona conceived as a role, it'd be a brilliant career move. The problem is, it isn't a role, and he can't turn it off. These books have crazy stories about Puck that were not included in the show, like when he stuck his ass through a window and farted on everyone, which is criminally horrible that they cut that. But some of the behavior that was cut from the show was deeply aggressive, with Muhammad, another cast member that season, saying, what bothered me more than anything was the way they edited Pedro to look like this whiny homosexual, which he wasn't. And they made Puck into this rebellious, misunderstood guy, which is a stretch to say the least. They never showed Puck walking around the house saying fat 10 million times.
I liked your character, but you were your character, you know? I mean, I thought you were real, and I just didn't think that was very fair that they just threw you out like that and didn't really care about your feelings.
I think audiences saw our whole issue with Puck in a twisted way. It wasn't Pedro versus Puck. It was the whole house against Puck.
And that's great. You wanted me to come all the way back over there so you could tell me I was out of the house?
We wanted to tell you to your face. We didn't want to tell you on a machine.
Well, I think you're all really petty for this whole thing. That's what I think. I feel sick right now, you know that? I feel sick.
When he's voted off the show, they make it look like Puck walks proudly out into the sunset. But as cast member Rachel describes, what really happened afterwards was Puck stood outside yelling and screaming and ranting about being voted off until their real neighbors started yelling at him to shut the f up. Going through every story that was cut from the show could be a whole video in itself. It was like when Puck spit on Judd and left obsessive and aggressive voicemails.
Yeah, what do you get when you cross Pedro with Elvis? That would probably be Pelvis. Pelvis is what you get, Pedro.
We have a joke for you. What's the difference between Puck and the pool table? The pool table's still in the house.
When the reunion show happened, everybody was already angry at Puck because apparently backstage, he said he was happy that Pedro died.
What'd you say about Pedro when he died? You said good riddance, didn't you?
I'd be
everywhere. If you're gay and you have AIDS,
get
you
off your
deserve to get it.
soapbox, Judd.
Good riddance. That's what you
Off
said.
your soapbox.
Tell me you didn't say it.
Look at you.
Tell me you didn't say it.
I didn't say it.
You're lying. You know you are.
Your mother's my secret lover.
Though in the tell-all book, Puck insists he meant it in a way like he's happy that Pedro's no longer suffering, but why would anybody ever believe that he meant it that way? After Puck left the reunion show, he was allowed back in the studio, something which he thinks was a stupid move, saying that he could have brought a gun back with him. And he could have killed everyone. What the fuck? When talking about it, you can tell the cast tried everything before voting him off the show. In these interviews, much of the cast insists they didn't want to throw him out, but the narcissistic inability to compromise on any of his behavior forced them to. He would take any criticism as an attack. Voting cast members off was not really a part of this show's structure, but the prior season set a precedent that the rest of the cast could come together to decide if somebody needed to leave. The word narcissist gets thrown around at Puck from a lot of his fellow cast members, but what's crazy is reality TV created a system that rewarded this behavior. He became so memorable based off being so horrible that MTV would keep asking him to come back. He would host the first season of The Challenge, and then he would be a part of the cast in another season where he would lean into his villain role, spitting in someone's face, and then he would be brutally killed in the MTV cartoon Celebrity Deathmatch, in which he is tossed into a fish tank by other real-world cast members, only to have his face eaten by piranhas.
The Puck is dead, man.
What do I say to this?
These are road rules.
In 1995, MTV launched its proper attempt to build on the real world with Road Rules, which replaced the house with an RV as the cast would travel across America or eventually other countries for cooperative challenges along this crossroad adventure. So what kind of challenges? In the first season, the RV is sent to a nudist community and all of the challengers are freaked out by naked old people.
Oh my God, the trailer park naked one? Here's the naked man. Naked people everywhere you look.
Oh, cowboy.
But being there isn't their only challenge. They must retrieve a package from an old man's package sitting in a hot tub.
What's in that clue? Is it a little message?
And the only way they can get in the hot tub is to get naked themselves. Road Rules was basically the real world on wheels. But over time, a Road Rules spinoff would become one of MTV's most important shows, in part because it allowed them to recast existing MTV reality show stars, allowing the audience to have a pre-existing relationship with the characters and permitting reality TV to become a career.
This is Mr. Big of Road Rules. Don't touch that dial. There's nothing wrong with your clue.
That's Puck?
Welcome to Road Rules. I'm not on the trip. I'm controlling it.
Wait. In 1998, a special season called Road Rules All-Stars would bring together several former cast members of the real world for a trip across America and a trip to New Zealand on an adventure of challenges. In Connecticut, their challenge was to go to a haunted insane asylum with Ed and Lorraine Warren, aka the people who inspired the Conjuring movies.
You see, ordinarily, I would never allow anybody like you to go where you're going.
So what's the
Any
point?
psychological or physical harm that comes to you, we cannot be responsible because we are warning you about it.
The Warrens take this investigation so seriously, bringing in 12 different psychics, but the cast from MTV doesn't really believe in anything and are waiting to see a real spirit to make a judgment.
You're not asking the spirit to enter you. That's what he's saying.
I'm asking him to come. I want him to come. I want to feel the spirit that I'm calling to come through me, which I believe is a positive
not
spirit.
to enter you. No.
Eric feels that he can kick any ghost's ass.
And then the guys take off their shirts. They're trying to pretend to be insane. They're acting like chickens.
It was so crazy.
He can kick any ghost's ass.
The relationship between the cast all seems pretty cordial. They write a song at the end of it all together. It seems very kumbaya. But then they'll all just start arguing like babies. Like in New Zealand, their challenge is to go down a hill in an inflatable ball. And after it's over, Eric is like, that was fun. I want to go again. But the challenge is over and nobody wants him to. He throws a temper tantrum.
I'm doing it again. I'm going again. I want to go down one more time. I'm going down one more time.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I want to go down one more time. Are you serious that you would actually leave me here and not wait to go down one more time?
He's acting stupid like we're on freaking Real World or something.
Yeah, this isn't the real world. This is Road Rules. We do things different here. And after traveling an entire season, their prize is so bad. When they win, they're greeted by none other than Puck. They bring Puck in by helicopter. No plane would take him. And what does Puck give them? Another trip to Costa Rica. Imagine thinking you're gonna get money after all of this, after all this world travel, and you just get to go on one more trip. To me, that would feel like it's not over yet. There's just a little bit more to do.
The question is, who do I take?
Let's all go together.
So in the first season of the challenge, we have two people who are very interesting. We have Sean Duffy from The Real World Boston and Rachel from The Real World San Francisco, best known for becoming romantically involved with Puck before voting to kick him out.
If there is one thing in my entire life that I ever regret more than anything I've ever done, it is just kissing him.
So these two would actually fall in love on set, which would be so wholesome if Sean wasn't currently in charge of NASA. What the f***? I guess stars from The Apprentice and stars from The Real World have each other's backs. Why is this guy in charge of NASA? The spinoff would get the title The Challenge in its second season, which would pit two groups against each other throughout the entire season. One half made of Real World stars and the other Road Rules. The Challenge has now had more seasons than The Real World and Road Rules and is a forerunner to shows like Survivor. In a fun gimmick for the first season, the winners of each challenge get to take a tour bus to the next location, but the losers have to drive the RV. That's the rules of the road. And this time there was actually a cash prize, so it was worth it to try to win. I think the challenges got way more interesting to watch at this point, not only because they got harder, but no one wanted to be the weakest link on their team. In one challenge, the contestants need to bungee jump into a lake and grab floating rings. The first brave challengers made it easy, but then people started not to grab rings. They were failing.
No rings.
Not performing well adds a whole nother dimension to complicating these people's relationships. But it's just funny to watch them, like, dunk into the water like little tea bags. It's like another MTV show that would air later. When someone feels genuine fear, their teammates feel frustration, which is a very different dynamic than just writing a song together. The Road Rules don't apply here. The Road Rules people just smoke the Real World people. For every challenge they win, they get more time added in the money fan. The money event, there's a bunch of money around them. And that's their prize, is time in the money wind tunnel. The money machine. The Real World team ends up with $10,000 to split between each other, but the Road Rules team, they get $40,000. That's the rules of the road. The challenge is still running to this day and has dubbed itself America's fifth sport, which I was certain there were more than that. But really what the challenge did for reality TV is make it a career. Jonathan Abrams of the New York Times profiled Johnny Bananas. Mr. Bananas has been on nearly half of the seasons of the challenge and continues to participate nearly 20 years after his debut on The Real World Key West in 2006. He famously took a heel turn and, like Puck, has lasted this long by being a memorable villain. His most iconic moment is when he had the chance to split the winning pot with his partner and he chose to take it all for himself. That money could have changed her life, but he was holding a grudge from a previous season.
The one person that has made the most money on any challenge in history, $275,000, all for yourself.
So in the end, soap opera won over documentary. But MTV wasn't all reality TV during this time. MTV Animation was a cultural powerhouse, and it started with Liquid Television, a show packaged with all sorts of unique and surreal cartoons. After it premiered, the LA Times said, "Liquid Television showcases state-of-the-art animation with all the spirit of MTV's promos and not a music video in sight." As it carefully expanded, MTV tried to maintain the spirit spirit of MTV. Episodes of Liquid Television would begin with a liquefied version of an already existing music video, and the whole project was spearheaded by producer Jafet Asher, who produced many of MTV's iconic bumpers. Liquid Television has been called a forerunner to the Adult Swim style, producing unique cartoons but also showcasing many that came from film festivals such as Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, but others like John R. Dilworth's The Street Sweeper came from other parts of the festival circuit. Between The Simpsons on Fox and the launch of Nickelodeon, MTV was getting into animation at exactly the right time. Asher states about 80% of the animation is new, with international animators being brought on to the show for a wide range of animation styles: puppetry, CGI, stop motion, pencil color, digitally colored, green screen people. This show had it all, baby. Several famous animators would have their work featured on Liquid Television, from Andrew Stanton, Bill Plimpton, Danny Antonucci, the list goes on. But Liquid Television would find a few standout shorts to make into a full series.
Aeon Flux premieres Tuesday, August 8th at 10.
The first show coming out of Liquid Television was the surreal and kinky cyberpunk cult classic Aeon Flux. Eventually getting picked up into a series, Aeon Flux is a dominatrix dress assassin during a conflict between the world's two opposing forces. With bold imagery and unnatural movement, the most iconic image in the series is Aeon's eyelashes acting like a Venus flytrap, catching a fly and bending her eyelashes unnaturally before her pupil comes out from the back of her head to take a little look at it. I can do that. Does that make me a Dommy mommy? Peter Chung said of the image that it plays on the show's themes of watching. It is a show about espionage, about watching and being watched, and the audience's participation in watching these dialogueless shorts, as it is required of the audience to watch the action to piece together the story. It's far more complicated than a Roadrunner cartoon, which also doesn't have talking. Yet with Trevor, Aeon's sometimes lover, sometimes arch nemesis, their relationship was pitched as being like spy versus spy. So it does have some cartoonish qualities to it. But the series was lauded for its complexity, a highlight for many watching. The first short presents Aeon strictly as a hero, but the second is from the enemy's perspective, beginning with Aeon mowing down a bunch of soldiers, only to follow the perspective of one nameless soldier as he lays dying, hallucinating, and then being mourned. Series music composer Drew Newman described the approach as using stylistic ultra-violence to make an anti-violence statement. The over-sexualization of the character just adds to this uncomfortable nature of it all, but it's never drawn in a way that's meant to arouse. Taking notes from Austrian expressionist painter Egon Schiele, who is known for drawing bodies in twisted shapes. The angles they draw the action from are visually striking, while Aeon is often drawn from extreme angles that are much less sexy and much more grotesque. She's a creature. Though the pilot has this like weird psychedelic foot fetish type ending, Peter Chung, the creator, says this is the kind of show you're supposed to watch multiple times to understand, but I see what you're doing. Though its complexity contributes to this idea that the audience can debate about what the overarching narrative actually is, which there's not total consensus over. I've only watched it once. There's no analysis here from me. It's a fever dream of a show in a much different way than the other popular show to come out of Liquid Television. Without a doubt, the most popular cartoon MTV ever produced was Beavis and Butthead.
Once in a lifetime comes a program of such quality, one wonders how it ever got made.
Coming from Mike Judge's Frog Baseball short featured in Spike and Mike's Festival of Animation, these two are a pointed caricature of American youth.
We don't want to work. We just want the money. And chicks, yeah.
With Beavis and Butthead's thick-headedness and design to match, at the surface level, this show seems as stupid as the characters' arrhythmic laughs, but Mike Judge has proved himself time and time again as one of the sharpest satirists in American animation. Beavis and Butthead have become iconic for sitting on their living room couch and commenting on the same music videos MTV viewers would have seen over and over again. With their Metallica and AC/DC shirts, they are creatures of the 1990s, but their commentary and brain rot sense of humor seems so modern.
These inside jokes that just keep on going to the point where they're just kind of laughing all the time.
Everything becomes funnier to them over time. The music videos they watch, and especially sex.
These have been some of the best oral reports I've ever heard.
Oral. I'm gonna do an anal report.
Yet Judge knew to make the one thing Beavis and Butthead can be intellectual about, the music videos. Saying to Loaded magazine in the 1990s, "At first, I thought maybe it should be an insult to the band to have Beavis and Butthead be into them, but then I realized, make them idiot savants. That somehow through being really vacant, a simple truth can come out. It's fun to have a really stupid guy figure out that something's bad."
Yes! This kicks butt. Nirvana is cool.
They obviously were metalheads, but would call out metal songs for just trying to be loud. They were wise to and excited by hip-hop. And at the height of their popularity in the 1990s, they were considered tastemakers. Beavis and Butthead's opinion would impact music sales.
Trey and Matt, the South Park guys, I remember them saying that Beavis and Butthead to them was like the blues.
There is an unreplicable quality to the rhythm of Beavis and Butthead as the narrative segments are interrupted by their music commentary, a choice that could be attributed to shortened attention spans. But despite interrupting the narrative, it feels so natural. Without even knowing it, Beavis and Butthead host their own show. The clever qualities of the show truly shine off of the couch by designing environments for Beavis and Butthead's daft and destructive nature to shine in. Every intrusive thought becomes a reality and every consequence is funny, even when the other one gets hurt.
Your finger smells funny, Beavis. Really? What were you doing with it? I don't know.
And the cast of characters are designed so well just to respond to their antics. Tom Anderson is the spiritual father of Hank Hill and was literally considered in the development of King of the Hill to be Hank Hill's literal father.
The most important thing you can have on a camper is a good butane regulator.
My dad says butane's a bastard gas.
He's a veteran, a hardworking American who believes in the American dream, but Beavis and Butthead are purely antithetical to this notion. He loves his yard, but they just love destroying it.
Whoa, that was cool.
They are Dennis the Menace hyped up on sugar. Then there's Mr. Van Driesen, their teacher who really believes that education can change a young person's life. A desire that is absolutely and devastatingly crushed by a single frame of Beavis and Butthead's empty heads listening to his impassioned speech. These two are so immensely powerful.
It's time for your reports on a historical American figure.
And they became the center of culture wars in the 1990s, especially after a very famous controversy when in 1993, a mother blamed the show for inspiring her 5-year-old son to set fire to their trailer, killing her 2-year-old daughter. According to the mother, the boy apparently watched the show all the time, and despite never admitting wrongdoing, MTV responded by pushing the airtime back, requesting the show limit future references to fire.
Liar, liar, pants on. Whoa.
Which Beavis had an obsessive fascination with. And the show would now begin with an ironic disclaimer saying these two aren't supposed to be role models. And unfortunately, MTV would even edit the original master tapes of these episodes, meaning some early episodes of Beavis and Butthead no longer exist in their original form. But the media firestorm overshadowed a few things. The first of which, the trailer reportedly did not have any cable hookups. So the kid couldn't have watched the show all the time. Something which the boy allegedly confirmed nearly 20 years later in a now lost but often referenced social media post from 2008 in which he had accused his mother of lying back in 1993, saying he had never actually seen the show himself. People outside of MTV's audience didn't really tune into the show as something clever until it found itself a champion in David Letterman.
Tuning in, welcome to the show. I'm Dave Letterman.
Hey. Who's this dork?
All right.
Who's this dork?
All right. Get him out of here.
Usually apathetic toward animation, Letterman loved Beavis and Butthead and let the world outside of MTV in on the fact that they were smarter than they looked.
I love cartoon guys.
I think what finally endeared me to these two was coming across the music video they made with Cher, with Beavis and Butthead performing Sonny Bono's part of the famous duet, I Got You, Babe.
Is it true that you used to be, like, married to that Bono dude?
Bono, Sonny Bono.
After this video aired, Sonny, now a congressman, gave his opinion. He hated it, saying he couldn't believe Cher would lower herself to such a foul thing. But I don't think Sonny realized that, like, she wasn't lowering herself to Beavis and Butthead by giving Beavis and Butthead Sonny Bono's part. She was saying Sonny Bono was like Beavis and Butthead. Considering how angry. This show made people. I think their take on It's a Wonderful Life is one of like the most clever cartoons ever made. After all of the trouble they've caused, everybody in Beavis and Butthead's life prays for them to die. And God himself sends an angel down to convince Beavis and Butthead to off themselves.
Butthead, I'm going to show you how much better the world would be if you were never born.
This is excellent. Also, this shows us that Beavis is just Butthead's pawn. That if it weren't for Butthead's influence, Beavis would be nice, albeit a stupid guy. I love the running joke that Butthead is the smarter of the two. But in a way, this makes Beavis just his victim. So if you're coming after Beavis and Butthead, you're going after a victim. There is a balance between degeneracy and innocence that makes these characters so appealing. Mike Judge compared Beavis and Butthead never getting laid to Charlie Brown never kicking the football. And that makes me pity them. They're pathetic, and I love them. I love them for being pathetic.
Here lies Beavis. He never scored.
Yet lasting longer than Beavis and Butthead was its equally iconic spin-off, Daria.
America's got a new sweetheart, Daria. Coming in March to MTV.
As a Beavis and Butthead character, Daria was described by Mike Judge as being a character suggested by the network, a girl who didn't like Beavis and Butthead, but would tolerate them.
You guys will never graduate.
Never masturbate?
But for Daria's own show, Judge would have no involvement, and it would outlast its origins. Daria was created by Glenn Eckler and Susie Lewis-Lynn, and along with her friend Jane Lane, Daria navigates high school as a smart, cynical, and sarcastic icon. Jane and Daria have this great rapport, setting each other up for a barrage of deadpan jokes.
You know you're going to hell.
Anything that gets me out of Lawndale.
A Tumblr icon way after the show ended. Like Beavis and Butthead, Daria was also very satirical of American youth, but it was much more sincere in its approach. The Misery Chick is a classic episode that features Daria becoming popular after former running back Tommy Sherman comes back to school to visit for a day, only to die in a freak accident right after Daria jokes about him dying.
Maybe he won't live that long.
Come on, you know wishes don't come true.
Oh my God! The goalpost fell! Tommy Sherman's dead!
Daria becomes the only person people see as being able to handle such a dark topic, and they keep coming to her, wanting to talk to her about it. It makes her understand her place in life as the Misery Chick. But she has trouble listening to these people because everyone is telling her Tommy was such a great guy, and she can't bring herself to agree.
I know he died. I'm sorry he died. But I'm not gonna pretend he was some great person when he wasn't.
Which is much more of like this contemplative moral conundrum that Beavis and Butthead would be capable of. They'd watch Tommy Sherman die and say, cool. Another favorite I also really love is the episode about art censorship. Daria and Jane collaborate on a piece together, with Jane painting a pretty girl in the mirror and Daria writing a poem about her eating disorder.
She knows she's a winner. She couldn't be thinner. Now she goes in the bathroom and vomits up dinner?
The principal really wants the painting to win an art competition, so she steals the piece and changes the poem to be about dieting, erasing any meaning of the original.
She knows she's a winner. She couldn't be thinner because she's careful what she eats for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Good nutrition rules. Is this a joke?
Leaving Daria and Jane to have to fight for their art. They want it back so they can own it themselves, but the school refuses. They want their name taken off, but the principal refuses. They want to present it, censored, and credit it to the original artist. It's a fun story, and the show's filled with great characters like Daria's younger sister, Quinn, who's Daria's complete opposite.
Please exit through the front.
Look, I know how you like to embarrass me and say we're related and stuff.
With a dry wit and a much more contemplative attitude, Daria became an icon completely separated from her origins. Daria is much less like Beavis and Butthead on the surface, and much more representative of maybe the cynical attitude that could have created a character like Beavis and Butthead, but people don't immediately associate the characters anymore. Daria is so much her own thing that it's only sort of a fun fact that she came from Beavis and Butthead. According to Vice's oral history of Daria, interviewing the creators and cast and crew, MTV wanted to respond to the criticism that it didn't make content targeted toward women who were not reliably tuning in to Beavis and Butthead. And you know what? Maybe Aeon Flux with an outfit with less fabric than a belt wasn't doing the job either. Daria was one of 5 female-led animated show pilots produced to create a new series, but the only one picked up was Daria, who would instantly become another MTV icon, even being one of the highest rated shows on the channel for a minute. General manager of MTV, Von Toffler, called Daria the closest thing to a poster child the network has. She was MTV.
Welcome back to Daria Night.
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
Please stand by.
The voice of Daria, Tracy Grandstaff, got the role when the character was added to Beavis and Butthead because she was the only woman writer on the show. Unlike Beavis and Butthead, Daria was a full half-hour sitcom, and like a lot of sitcoms, there's character growth and continuity. But even Daria's sister Quinn has development as she proves herself to be smarter than she wants to believe. I lost it when Lawndale High's quarterback Kevin Thompson injured himself by driving a motorcycle into the Tommy Sherman Memorial Tree.
Good thing he's dead, or he'd really let you have it.
Cheerleader Brittany Taylor has to break up with him because law states cheerleaders have to date athletes.
Only sportsmen can drink sports drinks.
From now on, I drink Yoo-hoo.
A few years after Liquid Television, MTV created a successor in cartoon sushi.
Remember MTV in the old days? They count between videos, they used to show these weird-ass things that had like puppets and crap in them.
Which once again featured a showcase of existing cartoons newly produced for the show. And this show also had other shows born from it, including The Max and the ever-iconic Celebrity Deathmatch. But as the years went on, MTV continued to make cult classic animations like The Head and Clone High, but by the 2000s, they slowed down immensely. Honestly, Adult Swim kind of came in, proving that Cartoon Network was a better place for adult cartoons than music television. But for a while, MTV was one of the only options for adult cartoons, alongside like The Simpsons.
Jon Stewart Show, weeknights at 10 on MTV.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're happy to have him, Puck!
During the 1990s, MTV was experimenting with comedy shows from Jon Stewart, Pauly Shore, and Ben Stiller, whose directorial debut was a movie that was a parody of the real world. But the biggest threshold for MTV to cross would be making movies. Starting in 1992, MTV began the MTV Movie and TV Awards, which as of 2025 seems to be over, but for a while it was a very iconic show in its own right, giving awards to more popular movies than the Oscars, and including iconic MTV exclusive categories like Best Kiss.
Win an award for kissing a fine woman like Vivica Fox. You know, this is just a life.
But finally, in 1996, MTV would make the jump to the silver screen with Joe's Apartment. The only thing I knew about Joe's Apartment before watching it was that it was MTV's very first movie and that it bombed at the box office and critics hated it. And after watching it, I have to say, all of that really tracks. Joe's Apartment is based on a short cartoon that would play during breaks on MTV. It has an annoying little theme song that gets stuck in my head, sung by the stars of the short and the film, the cockroaches living in Joe's apartment.
Welcome to Joe's Apartment.
Who talk through puppets and animated appliances implied to be the cockroaches moving around in it. They all love Joe because he keeps his place so disgusting for them. And in both the short and the movie, they promise not to ruin Joe's date, but you know they gotta. In the movie, Joe has just moved to New York City and struggles to find his first apartment, so he has to move into a shithole overfilled with roaches who reveal the secret that all roaches can talk. The film is one of those CGI-assisted live-action cartoons from the 90s like Mouse Hunt or Baby's Day Out. Sometimes the gags are so far out there it catches you off guard, but the best one is literally the first one, when Joe arrives in New York City off of the bus and gets mugged repeatedly while narrating a letter to his mother. It's not that that joke is so funny, it's just the smash cut that they do. They cut to the mugger's POV, which is just the camera itself beating Joe. POV my fist. It's the funniest part of the movie, and it's the first joke. It's all downhill from there. It definitely feels like it's supposed to be satirical about city life, high rent prices, gentrification, corporate culture, dating in the city, but it doesn't really focus on anything except for the animated roaches who sing and dance in extended musical sequences. I know Joe's Apartment has its fans, so I'm dissuaded from just dismissing it as a stupid movie, but I don't know if I'll ever watch it a second time to find out if it's truly a stupid movie. It's layered, it requires multiple viewings like Aeon Flux. The only reason MTV kept making movies after Joe's Apartment is because they greenlit it alongside a surefire hit, Beavis and Butthead, Do America.
Check it out, it's gone. What?
The TV!
This is Beavis and Butthead at their best, leaving the couch and going across America as they unknowingly stumble into a criminal plot, going on this journey to hopefully, finally, score. This is a classic with guest roles from Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, as well as an extra special cameo from David Letterman as Butthead's dad. Beavis and Butthead, just by being themselves, evade the US military, who are hunting them down, believing them to be threats to national security. But through the military's own incompetence, they are unable to capture them, despite all of the resources being put into surveillance and the overfunded military. One of the best jokes Beavis and Butthead ever did was in this movie. They hijack an intercom at the US House of Representatives and make one stupid little comment, and the entire chamber starts laughing identically to Beavis and Butthead.
We're looking for the chick with big boobs.
Yeah, we are ready to do you now.
It's like all these idiots who got mad at this cartoon are no better than the cartoon. Sonny Bono's in there somewhere. Anyways, this is a great thing to watch if you want to be aware of these characters without watching too much of the show. This is the only Beavis and Butthead thing I grew up watching, and it stands on its own for sure. Throughout the 90s, MTV would have some other movie hits like Election, starring Reese Witherspoon and Matthew Broderick, and The Kings of Comedy, which is a pretty cool stand-up showcase directed by Spike Lee, featuring Steve Harvey, Cedric the Entertainer, Bernie Mac, and D.L. Hewley, who I don't know of. What's cool about it is it doesn't only include parts of their stand-up routines, but all of the promotion leading up to it, which feels like a whole other trove of material that wouldn't be included in a traditional stand-up special release. By the mid-2000s, MTV had quite a few hits under their belt. Coach Carter, starring Samuel L. Jackson, The Longest Yard, and Blades of Glory were all financial successes right out of the gate, and others like Orange County would see life on home video. But the Aeon Flux movie, starring Charlize Theron, was a total disaster. Look how they do the fly scene. The weird part isn't that she catches a fly with her eyelashes, is that she grips it with the eyelashes. The movie just misses that. They were doing wild shit with CGI at this time. They should have tried to recreate that. And it would have looked bad. Like, don't get me wrong, but you know, you should have tried. By the late 1990s, as MTV brought in new programming, many of their staple shows had ended. Club MTV ended in 1992, and in 1995, both the metal-focused Headbangers Ball and the hip-hop-focused Yo! MTV Raps came to an end or were rebranded into less popular shows. While MTV never stopped producing unplugged performances or producing the Video Music Awards, by the late 1990s, it was clear MTV had stepped far away from its original music-inspired roots. And in 1997, they decided something needed to change. They fired most of their MTV VJs to bring in new talent, and their headquarters of operation would be moved to a place where everyone could see what's happening, right in the middle of Times Square. It would take MTV borrowing a few things from all of these concepts to create its flagship music show going into the new millennium, Total Request Live. Hosted first by Carson Daly in MTV's Times Square headquarters, now the Paramount office, TRL became MTV's flagship program just in time for the boy band craze. Pop had taken over the music industry. Times Square would be packed with fans who would give music television another decade of relevance. By the end of the 90s, MTV had turned the music back on. So next time, we are going to talk about the TRL decade, dominated by pop, jackasses, hip-hop, and MTV's increasing reputation as smut peddlers, all leading to the cancellation of TRL, or when MTV turned the music off for a second time. So stay tuned for that video coming toward the end of this year. I've got some other things planned in between. I didn't expect to split this video into 2 parts. So thank you so much to our Patreon members, especially our gold level members who are on screen right now. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. I want my MTV, and I want to say, see ya.